Hi everybody. Thanks very much for viewing our seminar here. We talked a lot about what we're going to discuss during the webinar, and we thought, well, it's a really opportune time to talk about embryo transfer. There's been a lot of, for lack of a better word, hype and a lot of misinformation in the US about embryo transfer from people who really haven't had anything to do with it. So seeing as we had a lot to do with it back in Australia, and it's one of the reasons why we could bring our herd, our ARI registered herd to the US, was because of embryo transfer, because their full siblings were left in Australia. But it's an opportune time also because really the alpaca industry here in the US has been at a very infantile stage and just maturing now, and there's been a lot of developments globally and nationally here that sort of signify to us that it's time to start talking about important things like a national breed standard, but I won't talk about that again. But, you know, we've got things underhand like biopsy reporting. We've improved our fibre testing. We've got a lot of people on top of that now. And the establishment of EPDs give us another scientific tool to use. And then you look at the US influence in the world community, in the world alpaca global community, and you think about where we are. And if you consider that many other countries now, like Australia, New Zealand, Britain, and our neighbour up here, Canada, are also doing embryo transfer, maybe it's time for us to think about it. Another thing that's really pleasing about the industry here developing and grabbing some commercial gain is the influence of Outback 40, Lynn Edens, and NASCO through Liz Velkamp, who are both almost commercial buyers of alpaca fibre, Wakaya fibre and Suri fibre. And if we're really serious about a fleece industry, about breeding these animals for fibre, for breeding for specific traits, prepotent traits, well, I think I know that embryo transfer can really help us, because it can help us in an exponential sense. It can give us a lot of quality gain in a short time. So I'm going to hand the seminar over to Jude, who administered most of the embryo transfer back at home in Australia. And also, you've got to remember all of our historical information, everything we know about it from our practice was done in 2003, 2005. So that process, embryo transfer process and cost, has matured so much since then. And there's your sign. Australia's been doing it for 10 or 12 years. It's time for us to catch up.
All right, thank you, Al. And we'll take you through this PowerPoint. The first things I wanted to really stress before I move on to the nitty-gritty of the process is that, you know, we need to remember that what we're here to do with breeding any type of livestock, and specifically alpacas, is to improve the general population.